episode 15 of the Stone Age Gamer for the week of September 7th, 2014. And as one of our esteemed guests said earlier, September is Dragon Ass. My name is Chris, and I'm the host for the evening. With me tonight, as always, is the lovable Dean DeFalco.
Hey.
The considerably less lovable Dan Ryan.
What's up?
And we have two special guests with us this evening. We have known associate of the ugly Dan Ryan, Tiff, is with us.
Hi.
And the
Stuttering
let's
there.
see, Night Pain, or Night Pain, or Jessissippi, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. Say hello.
Hello.
So we have a pretty full staff today. Mike can't be with us because he just moved and he does not have the internet yet. So he did, however, provide our feature topic, which we will be getting to later. But first, we're going to do our regular round around the room and talk about what we've been playing lately. So why don't we start with J Payne? What have you been playing?
What have you been playing, J Payne?
Well, as we speak right now, I'm playing Picross 3D because why not?
Picross on 3DS or 3D Picross, like the one where you actually rotate the blocks and stuff?
3D Picross.
I love that game.
Yeah, it's alright.
Oh, it's only alright? Okay, whatever, fine. You know, go ahead and put my DS down and you go do something else then.
No, I'm good. This is
No.
fun.
Door's right there.
No. I've been in a slump. I started replaying a bunch of games, and then I would stop an hour in and just turn it off and play The Sims, and then I'd be like, why am I playing The Sims? And then turn that off. Then take a nap.
Sounds
I do
like
have a job. I go to work, too.
We're good. I'm glad you have a job. We're glad you don't nap all day besides playing an hour of games.
I really need to let that be known.
I want to just let it be known that there's a pie chart in front of me right now where there's a sliver for video games and then 23 hours full of napping.
Was the life of a game-playing cat?
Yes. Grumpy gaming cat.
Nice.
Picross 3D is an outstanding game. In fact, all the Picross games are out-freaking standing. They're some of my favorite puzzle games. And Picross 3D, I didn't think I was going to like it at first because I've been playing... When Picross 3D came out, I think I had been playing flat Picross games for about 14 or 15 years, because I started on Mario's Picross for Gameboy, and just that sat still for about 13 years, and then they made sequel Picross DS here in America, and I played the crap out of that, and then 3D Picross came out, and I was like, wow, I don't even think my brain can handle it. But once I learned it, I could not put that game down. It was one of the most addictive puzzle games ever.
She's going at it pretty ham right now.
Yeah, I love, because I love Minesweeper, and this is just kind of like that.
Well, there
Except
you
in
have
3D. They really need to make a sequel to that for 3DS. I can't believe they haven't.
Yeah, especially because there's a 3D function on a 3DS.
I know, there's like 5 Picross games downloadable from the eShop, and that's all well and good, but god damn it, 3D Picross in 3D. Make it happen.
Sort of no-brainer.
Oh.
So, Jessissippi, have you been playing anything else?
No, because everything I've been doing is just restarting, so... I was doing Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask, because that one was?
Yes.
The newest one? Yeah. I was doing that, and then I got bored of it. And then I was redoing Dragon Age, and I got sick of it. And that was really it.
All right. Tiff, what have you been playing?
Mine are kind of twofold. The first one, I've been neglecting my children playing the Doctor Who. What is that even called?
Doctor Who Legacy.
Oh my god. It's like... It's like Candy Crush in Doctor Whouniverse. Okay,
It's
how have I not heard of
What?
this? Where is this for? Amazing. It's like half like gem swap type game, but like half turn-based strategy game because each of the colors like matches to a different attribute of a different companion. It's amazing.
What is this called again?
Doctor Who Legacy.
And where does one find it?
iOS.
I'm going to text my wife about this right now.
And they are currently adding, because I've been watching her play quite a bit of this. They are currently adding the Peter Capaldi stuff as it comes out.
Yeah, how you play it, it's in episodes. So, like, the story of the game, not to get too nerdy, but the story of the game is that the Sontarans are going back throughout the Doctor's timeline and creating paradoxes so that time, wibbly wobblies and whatnot. So you're going, like, kind of backwards through all of the, like, episodes and whatnot, trying to defeat all the monsters again so that there's no paradox there or something. And So as every week, as there's a new Peter Capaldi episode, a new episode comes up on the game, like for that situation.
Wow.
It's amazing. Cool. I just got Martha Jones today, and I'm super excited to play with her.
Martha.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. And then the other thing that we've been doing is we just did the demo for PT. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
About an hour ago, and I almost wet myself because it's so goddamn scary. And then we were playing Outlast, and I am so excited about what's happening with horror video games because previously horror video games were kind of shit, or maybe were good games but not scary at all. And these games are so scary. So very scary. And that makes me really happy.
Did you guys
PT, that's playable teaser, right?
Yes.
For Silent Hills.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, shh. That's a secret. I'm telling you, shh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, spoilers. the Hideo
It was
Kojima...
so scary. It's like, it's one of those games where you're like, I think this is scary. I think this is scary. Nope, I'm getting bored. Okay, I'm getting really bored. Okay, what's going on? Oh my God, something just happened. It's so scary.
I've seen some people playing it. It looks rather interesting.
It's totally worth playing through. Like we downloaded it for PS4. I think there's a PC version and an Xbox One version as well.
There's definitely a PC version. I'm not sure about the consoles, but there's most definitely a PC version.
Yeah, I think it's just PS4 and PC, but well,
it's fucking terrifying.
Did you guys beat Outlast?
No, we played. What did we play? Like an hour, and then we got scared.
Yes.
So you got into the asylum.
But notice that he says we got scared there. We didn't get scared.
Who got scared?
He got scared. Oh. He got scared and didn't want to play anymore. I was enjoying myself.
So you met the big guy that rips you out of the doorway? Yeah. That was something. That was the first thing that happened to me, and I dropped the controller. Also, I was running on 2 hours of sleep in the last 36 hours, and things weren't making a lot of sense then because I played that during the marathon. But that was a really cool game to beat. I think you guys would be really satisfied. Just the whole game all around is fantastic. It's paced really, really well, and it's not that long. But I hear the DLC for it, Whistleblower, is even better than the original game.
Yeah, I've heard really excellent things about it. It is a legit scary fucking game though.
Oh yeah, by all means, it's very, very scary.
And it's a very interesting situation to be in because I am, as I walk through, I am controlling this cat. Like I'm doing this shit to myself, like in that PT thing, like there are certain areas where you walk around and you're like, all right, I have to go into this room and look at this thing. And I don't want to because it's going to fucking scare me, but I'm going to do it to myself anyway, whereas in like Resident Evil, the big scare in the first Resident Evil game is the fucking dog coming through the window, and that's not really the same thing. You're just walking around unsuspecting. This one and Outlast is the same thing. It's like everything's dark and I have to go this way, so fuck.
Did you guys play Five Nights at Freddy's?
Not yet.
You guys should play that one.
Fuck that.
Yeah, you're allowed to curse.
So,
but
yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, that game is something else. It's a whole nother kind of scary that I don't want anything to do with. And I'm not easily like wavered by video games and scariness in them, but yeah, no, that game not touching with the 10-foot pole.
I slept with the lights on. I did. I'm not ashamed to say it.
That's impressive.
But everything terrifies me. So there's that too.
Well.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
Dean, what have you been playing?
Well, yeah, actually, that's what I was getting to. I'll save that for last. But what I have been playing a lot of is I've been playing a lot of Deadlight, which is a game that came out in 2012 by Microsoft, I believe, and it's like a platformer survival horror game. It's really cool. It's basically a zombie outbreak that happened in Seattle. And it's this older gentleman trying to find his wife and kid and his friends that got away from the zombie apocalypse. And he's going through all of like a destroyed Seattle trying to figure out what to do. The zombies are called shadows instead of zombies. I guess they're trying to brand them differently, but they're essentially zombies. It's a really cool game. You get a gun and axe and everything, but it's basically Mario mixed with Resident Evil. That's what I would call it because it's on a 2D landscape. You got to figure out puzzles to get past the zombies and everything. Or not even puzzles, but just the zombies are more or less obstacles. Because if you fight them head on, it's not going to work. There's too many of them most of the time. And having the gun or the axe on you are more or less just like a time buying mechanism. It takes way too long to kill all the zombies or like land headshots in every single one of them. So it's a lot easier just to run past them or try to figure out ways around them without doing that, because you don't get a lot of health either. That's a really cool game, and it was only like $10. Then last week I bought the Humble bundle for Adult Swim games, and I downloaded one of them on Steam when I had time earlier, and it was called Super Platformer Deluxe. Mainly, it's exactly, or Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe. That's what it's called, and it's exactly what the title describes. It's a platformer mixed with a puzzle game. So you have the blocks coming down like they would in Tetris, but you have this little character running around the what would you call that? I guess playing field, and he shoots out bullets or whatever, and you have to basically, if you connect enough colors in a row, when he starts hitting one block, it'll start taking out all of the connecting blocks that have the same color. And you level up, and a lot of the ways the blocks fall will get more difficult, like they'll cascade down instead of one of them falling down at a time. Some spike blocks will come down that you have to avoid or you can't touch, or else it'll be a one-hit kill like in Mega Man. There's a cannon block that'll come down and shoot horizontally across the screen. And there's like 4 or 5, I guess, little sectioned levels or difficulties to each one till you get to the boss. And the boss is an actual character that drops down off the screen. He has special powers and everything, and you have to avoid the blocks while trying to kill him. And if you beat the level, you can move on to the next thing. What really got me about the game was the music. The music was fantastic. I really, really liked it. It's got a Sega Genesis sound chip type of feel to it. It's got like a real muddy, like gritty sounding type of music instead of the Nintendo, which is a bit brighter and not as muddy. It's a really cool game. There's a bunch of unlockables and everything. There's a high score table, which is cool. There's a multiplayer option, which is neat, and there's also a challenge option, which is cool. So there's plenty of playability in the game. The other game I've been playing is Hammerwatch, which I've been playing Deadlight and Hammerwatch on the YouTube videos that we've been doing. Hammerwatch is really cool. It's just a hack and slash, but the reason I really want to get back into that is because it's multiplayer, and a hack and slash multiplayer is always a lot of fun. That's why I'm also kind of excited for, what the heck's that other game? Gauntlet, the new Gauntlet coming out. That looks really cool. So Hammerwatch is sort of in the same vein as that. It's close to the same thing. So I'm really excited to check those out really soon. Again, all these games are super cheap. They're like $5-10. And they're worth every penny because they definitely have hours and hours and hours worth of gameplay in them. And for $5 or $10, you really can't get that a lot of the time anymore. You know, a lot of these games you pay $40-50 for, and maybe you get 6 hours. So when I see a game for $5 or $10 and I'm honestly having fun with, that's money well spent in my book. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. Well, it all sounds very interesting.
It is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dan, you're up. What have you been doing this week?
Well, other than the PT and watching Tiff play the Doctor Who Legacy, they just pushed out an update for Olli Olli, which I talked about a couple shows ago, playing on the PS Vita, and the update that they pushed, if you had already purchased it, will let you download it on PS4 or PS3 as well for no additional cost. So they made it a cross-buy title. So I started playing it over again on the PS4, and it's still super fun. It's a little, the timing is a little different on the bigger screen, which is a little weird to get used to, but still absolutely just blast to play. Other than that, my kids still like watching Fez, so we still play Fez. I'm kind of stuck in Fez, and because we took like a week off, and now I have no idea where the fuck I'm supposed to go. I don't remember which way I was going, and now I'm lost. So we're just gonna kind of spin the world around.
That sounds like a good plan.
Really about it.
Well, you've been reading all that Phil Fish hate going on. It seems like it's coming out even a lot more now, even though this epic to this guy's life has been going on for quite a while.
This guy, like, I don't know, man. If you watch that Indie Game, the movie thing, I think we talked about it the last time we talked about Fez too. He comes off, and maybe he's a lovely guy. I really hope he is. I usually like to think that people are way better than they are. But he comes off like such a smarmy cock.
Yeah, I hate that guy. I want his game to be terrible because he's such a douche.
And like him putting out the thing of Fez 2 and then canceling it, and I don't know, man. Like, he just seems.
Did you guys ever see that movie, Grandma's Boy?
Yeah.
Hey, you remember JP?
Yeah, you're telling us he's JP.
Yes, he is so JP.
He lives in the Matrix with a coat and everything.
Yes, because he's got robot ears. Yes.
Maybe if you had robot ears.
But that's exactly who he is, because like he put out like little snippets of this game, and everyone was like, "This guy's going to be the greatest game designer of all time," and then he couldn't get it finished, and he couldn't do anything, but he totally bought into his own hype, and I really feel like the game suffered for it, and he bought into his own hype, and then he kind of got scared because he couldn't deliver the product, and so I have a lot of negative feelings about Fez, but it is kind of cute.
What about you, Chris? What have you been playing?
Yeah, we want to hear about you.
Well, I've had a very interesting week. I'll start with I got some acquisitions recently that are very, very cool, including some things I ordered in the mail, which I'll probably talk about next week because I didn't get much of a chance to play them. This week, I went over to Digital Press and I picked up 3 games. Again, that I didn't really get much of a chance to play, but I picked up Top Secret Episode, Golgo 13, Fester's Quest, complete in the box, and Commando, which I already had, but this was in such a flawless condition with the box, I couldn't pass it up. But what I've actually played was stuff I bought last week. My local gaming store is Digital Press, which is a store in Clifton. It's just a fantastic classic game store, and they post some the best. They post stuff up on their Facebook page when they get it. Usually, like whenever they get cool, interesting trade-ins, and they got my attention with an NES game called Magician, which I had never heard of before, which is not something that happens to me very often. So I went out there, and fortunately, they still had it in stock. I picked that up, and on Dan's recommendation, I also picked up Batman for Game Boy.
Nice.
Which I played, and I played around with it for a little bit. The game's pretty tough, but it's really good. It plays a lot like I thought it would. The jumping is really, really floaty. I wasn't expecting you can only have one bullet on the screen at a time because if you didn't listen to previous episodes, this is a game where you're Batman with a gun and you shoot bad guys. You jump
Just
around
like Batman does.
as a cute chibi Batman floating through the air with this ridiculous jump and just shooting guys. It's
and
a really
bullet
weird
is
game.
Giant.
It's half the size of you. They're just shooting these giant, like oversized marshmallows at people. It's so strange. The game is so weird. I got this one power up that I couldn't figure out what it does because I just bought the cart loose, so I got no instructions. And obviously the internet exists, but I didn't feel like looking it up at the time. But I kept getting this power up where a little bat would float around me a lot. I thought it was a shield or something, so I walked up to some dude and it didn't do anything. The dude hit me, and then I lost the bat. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Best friend bat power up. You've never seen that guy.
Yeah, it's just best friend bat. He just floats around, does nothing.
It just makes you feel good about yourself.
Well, it certainly made me feel good. I felt very confident in my abilities, and then I got hit, and the bat disappeared. Didn't fly away, just disappears. So yeah, Batman for Game Boy, weird ass game. But speaking of weird ass games. Magician. All right, so this is a game from Taxan, which I think is from 1990, and it's kind of like it's almost like a point and click adventure where you can't point and click at things. So it's really well
it's
thought
Windows
out. Yeah, it's like Windows 8.
Exactly.
So
I don't think they should put that one on the box.
No, I don't think so.
Magician, just like Windows 8.
It's really well animated, I'll give it that. But there came a point where I shit you not, I had to turn the game off because it started to remind me of E.T.
Oh no.
All right, so you start off. This game is so overly complicated, it's absurd. You have this kind of sort of menu system where you press select and you go into this menu, and it's got all these different runes and things that you can shift around and make all these different spells because you are a magician. You walk around through a town, and as you're walking, there's a constant scroll of text going on in the bottom that's narrating everything you're doing. So, the door was locked. You walked past this guy. You tried to talk to him, but nothing happened because he ignored you, and your words fell upon deaf ears. And then you walked out into the desert, and it's narrating everything, and it's weird because you're trying to watch where you're walking as a character, but you're also trying to read all the stuff that's happening on the bottom of the screen that's telling you what the hell's going on. And
like
so,
that that episode of Family Guy where Peter narrates his life?
Yeah, kind of like that. Except you have to read it.
Okay, but can I just say that for a second there, when you said there was a constant scroll, I thought you said squirrel, and I was like, that sounds like the best game ever. I want a squirrel that just walks around narrating my life.
I would play the shit out of that game.
I just want a squirrel that narrates my life. Fuck the game. I want a real one.
It's called Constant Squirrel.
Is that what I have to check off in real life to get that going? Constant squirrel, and then just the squirrel jumps off a tree, like into my room and starts narrating everything.
Well, that almost
Yes.
happened
Can we put in a plug for, instead of doing a plug at the end of the show, can we plug our Constant Squirrel Kickstarter right now?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're gonna have to train about 200 squirrels to start talking. We're gonna need about $30 million in research and R&D. Let's get that going though. We'll have the link in the notes.
Well, unfortunately, this game does not feature an actual constant squirrel. Instead, you're just some idiot walking around doing God knows what. So I'm walking around, and I'm just walking through this town, and then I get to the end of the town, and some dudes start throwing rocks at my head or something. Fortunately, I
Sounds
picked
like
up
a
a
real
scroll
story.
earlier that lets me shoot fireballs. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of limit to the fireballs. Numbers keep changing, but the numbers are on this menu. So I'll shoot 5 fireballs or something, and I'll click the menu, and a number changed. But the number gets higher, so fuck it, I keep throwing fireballs. So I eventually kill
Again,
this
I
guy.
feel like it would have been an improvement if it had been a squirrel.
That gave you fire.
Completely agree. So I eventually leave town, and it goes to this map, and it's like, no, embark on an adventure to this desert place. And I go there, and there's all these broken down buildings, and my patience for this game is already wearing really thin, because at first I was really, really interested, because wow, this is a game I never heard of, and this is gonna be weird, and it's so taxing on my patience, because the whole time I'm playing that game, I was like, I don't have time for this shit. I just made time for this shit, and I don't have time for this shit.
Are you like Danny Glover except in a video game? I'm getting too old for this shit.
I'm walking through the desert, and there's all these broken down houses, and people are throwing rocks at my head again, and I'm just shooting fireballs over the place. And then I come into a well. And so I press the button to check out the well, and he falls down the well. And I'm like, okay, now I'm at the bottom of a well. But there's a treasure chest down here. I open the treasure chest. There's a whole bunch of things in it, including a spell to fly. Like, ooh, this is cool. I can fly. So I use the thing, and I start floating up and up and up and up, and I get close to the top, and then it just stops. And I fall back down. What the fuck just happened?
I'd
So
have burned it right there.
I try again. I get a little bit higher, and then I land. And the other thing that's fun about this is that your character is constantly getting hungry and thirsty, like constantly. Just a little thing will scroll up at the bottom and says, "I'm thirsty." You're getting hungry. You're getting hungrier. You're now dying of hunger. And I'm like, fuck, fine. So I go to my inventory and I eat some bread and I drink some water, and you get hungry again in like 15 seconds.
So he's like a Tamagotchi?
He's like a Tamagotchi. You're
Like
paying
a
attention to this walking Tamagotchi that can float, but apparently can't float very well. And this is where it reminded me of E.T. because I'm stuck in a well and I float all the way to the top and then I immediately fall back down again. And I did this like 5 or 6 times. I have no idea what changed that made me finally float out of the well, and then I decided to just start floating everywhere. And that was fun until I apparently ran out of magic. I don't know where the magic meter is. I have no idea how to find it, but I just fell down, and then some other dudes came and threw rocks on my head, and I died. And I said, well, there's $10 well spent.
Did it have the Nintendo seal of quality on it?
It did.
Well, there you go.
There, see,
All right, well,
I would have bought it too.
you're right. $10 well spent.
Well spent. So I can say that the game was very well animated. And that's about the best I can say about it.
Well,
And that it was almost cool enough to have a squirrel.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing that I'm also going to say, and this really comes back down to me being impatient, because this very well could be a very interesting game, but I just don't have the time for it, because I let the game, after I stopped playing it, after I got the game over, because you don't get lives, you just die, you just fall over and you're fucking dead.
That sounds great.
I started dicking around on my phone, and then I let the intro music play a couple of times, and then it went into a demo mode. And the demo mode was kind of showing you all the things you can do, not really teaching you how to do them, but it went through all these different things that you can do. Apparently there's like this really, really in-depth spell creation process where you use those weird runes on the pause menu screen or whatever, and you can create your own spells with unique effects, the way the fireballs fly around you and all sorts of other crap. You can get leaping spells and flying spells, and there's apparently a shit ton to do in this game, but I just don't, it's so non-welcoming that I couldn't get into it. So I'm not going to say that Magician is a bad game. I'm going to say that it is not the game for me because I just
Like
don't
a
have
boy
time
and his
for that.
blob.
Yeah,
Like-
although I think
like
A Boy and His Blob is
You're
actually
just-
a bad game.
Well, yeah, but I mean, here you go. Here's a world and some shit you can do. We're not going to help you. Just here you go.
Jelly beans.
Figure it
Jelly beans
out.
for everyone.
Yeah, except way more complicated.
Which
And
is
on-
impressive.
It is, because A Boy and His Blob was kind of complicated, but really when you boil it down to its basics, it's like, here's some jelly beans, you make the thing do some things, and there you go. It's pretty simple to make A Boy and His Blob more accessible, as they did on the Wii version of A Boy and His Blob, where it was totally accessible and a phenomenal game. But Magician it really seemed like it was playing to a hardcore audience, like a very hardcore audience, because it had those certain aspects of a pen and paper RPG or a point and click adventure. So there's going to be obviously lots of trial and error and stuff. But
It sounds like what you're describing sounds like if I had been a big fan of the Ultima games, which I am not, but if I had been a big fan of those, this is the game for me.
yeah, I think that there was potential there, and maybe I'll get to play it someday, or maybe I'll just look up a playthrough out on YouTube or something someday. But as of right now, I'm gonna leave Magician down in my basement and just I'm probably gonna play Euphoria and maybe some Fester's Quest. But that's gonna do it for our opening segment, which was pretty darn long because there's 5 of us. But hey, we're gonna jump into it. We're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna get some more water, and because it's getting nasty hot in this room. But we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about our feature topic, our feature topic, which is gonna be racing games. Stick around. Okay, everybody, welcome back. So we have returned. We're gonna get right into our feature topic because this is already running a tad long. So we're gonna race right through it.
Is it running?
So funny.
Is it running long in the beak?
No,
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, it's not.
no, forever no. So earlier this week, Mike, he got in touch with us to tell us that he wasn't going to be able to be on the podcast. So I asked the group a few days later, what were we going to talk about? Do you have any suggestions? What should we talk about? Better yet, what don't you want to talk about that we can talk about while you're not on the show? And he said, talk about how racing games suck now. And Dean jumped to the defense of racing games. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought, well, that's a pretty interesting topic because I used to play racing games all the time, and now I only play Mario Kart. So let's discuss racing games. What do we feel about racing games?
Or do you want me to open this up?
I want you to open up the can of worms, Dean.
Okay. All
I
right.
hate racing games.
Why? Why can't you just fucking wait till
We just
I
both
said
heard it
something?
first.
Instead, you just fucking Dean, why don't you say something? Jesse's all, I hate racing games. I'm gonna get back on track. All right. So, Mike's.
Back on track. Good one.
So funny.
Jesus Christ. We're never going to get through this. This is going to be a 2-hour long episode. All right. So, Mike's big thing was that racing games have gone downhill. And my big thing is I don't think racing games. Jesus Christ. I'm not even
Like
Trying.
Downhill Jam on the PS2.
I'm not
Well
even
done.
fucking trying.
Jesus Christ. That was a deep cut. Well played, my friend.
Yeah. I'm. Jesus Christ. It's too hot for this
I
bullshit.
know. You can put the top
Do we need to
down.
put the brakes on this conversation,
No.
Dean?
Shut the fuck up. Oh, God damn you.
Okay, just swerve
Dean,
around the
look,
comments.
dude, get it in gear.
Holy shit. So, what Mike was saying is that racing games have had a few years of not being as good as they were. I would care to argue that they have been as good as they were, and that he was playing the wrong ones. Mike's thing was that he brought up Mario Kart as the only racing game he's played in a long time. There's plenty of other racing games out there, even if you do want to play arcadey ones. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Blur, Burnout, what's another one? Split Second. Those are all very arcadey type of games that had very fun mechanics in them, great physics, and they were a little bit more realistic than Mario Kart. Maybe not Blur, but the other two were a little bit more realistic to some extent. I mean, if you wanted a hyper-realistic one, Forza, Gran Turismo are both fantastic realistic racing games that have progressed immensely over the years. So my big thing was that I don't feel racing games have gone anywhere bad. I just feel that you're playing the wrong racing games, which it could be a factor because there are bad ones out there, but not all of them are bad, and the good ones I feel are very good.
All right. I'm going to take kind of an opposite route here because now while what you said was true, stuff like Burnout was really good. It seems like the majority of racing games that are out now are very focused on, like Gran Turismo happened, and then Forza Motorsport and whatever tried to catch up with Gran Turismo in this crazy detail race, and I don't understand the detail aspect of it. Like I tried playing Gran Turismo and I didn't get it. I didn't like it even a little because it came to a certain point where I'm like trying to change the color of the stitching on the passenger seat of the car, and I'm like, I just want to drive around in circles. I just want to race. I just want
to go left.
Well,
exactly. I just want to go fast. Like I started playing racing games on the Atari and playing games like Grand Prix and Pole Position and stuff like Night Driver with the little 3D controller thing. These games were super fun back then, and I feel like a lot of modern racing games, with the exception of stuff like Mario Kart, tend to there's less of a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a big there's less of an emphasis on fun and more of an emphasis on customization and like the word drivatar exists, okay? The word drivatar has been spoken and it cannot be taken back.
I understand.
And racing is ruined forever. Video games are ruined forever because somebody said fucking drivatar.
Well, all right. Look, I'll give you that. That maybe they've gone too far with the customization, which isn't the part of the game that I enjoy. What I do enjoy is being able to put myself behind a $250,000 car and actually get to go through a realistic driving simulation, which I like to do because I'm never going to be able to afford to drive one of those cars. Even if I rent one, it would cost $2,000 just to put it on a track for the day. And I'm a big fan of racing. For any of you guys that don't know, I've actually raced cars. I've raced my own car on a racetrack, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing it. What I'd like to do is race an actual fast car. So, yeah, when I got the chance to play these games, take all the driving aids off, no driving line, no brake assist, no automatic transmission, none of that, it became a real full-on simulation. I didn't give two shits about painting my car. I didn't give two shits about what seats are in the car. I don't know what the fuck a drivatar is. I don't want to know what that is. And the fact of the matter is, I take these games for what they were meant to be played as, which is the simulation part of it. And that's what I enjoy about Forza and Gran Turismo, is the simulation part. But the thing is, there's a separation there, too. You know, I feel that these games went off on a tangent, starting with Need for Speed Underground. I feel like that's what started the big customization thing. With, I put 24-inch pink rims on my car with purple underglow and make the steering wheel look like a Hello Kitty. And, okay, I just want to say it'd be the best car ever. But besides that,
what fucking game is that? That sounds amazing.
No, I mean, you could do everything besides the steering wheel part in Need for Speed Underground, and I feel like that's what started this. And, it kept evolving over time. And while Gran Turismo didn't do this for a while, Forza adopted this. And they had this whole paint thing where you could make these incredibly intricate paint jobs, which are a marvel to look at. And I've actually made my own. And it's a lot of fun to do when you have an idea and you're able to put it on a car. Because, let's face it, again, I can't go outside and put a Mega Man paint job on my car because it'll cost $6,000. And it'll probably look really bad if I'm going to do it because I don't know shit about fucking painting. But
No, dude, I've got some apple barrel paints. I will be over tomorrow.
All right, yeah, let's do it. I'll go get the spray cans and everything. It'll fucking look great. But
nice.
Seriously, you know, the thing is that it's cool to look at. And you know the Mega Man one, I'll post a link to it. I'll even bring up the picture that I did of it. It took me like 4 or 5 hours, but when I was done, I was so proud of the car. I used it all the time, and the thing was, like, I played online with people and stuff, and I'd race against people, and I'd always get compliments like, oh, man, that's such a cool paint job. Can you send me over the paint scheme? I ended up making the license plate my username on the paint job I did. Now, I was quite proud of it, and like I said, that customization is cool. Giving a shit about what color your fucking stitching is in your seat, I don't care anything about. But like I said, just general stuff like that is a lot of fun. And that's where I feel that maybe the game should draw a line. You know, I think maybe they're taking it too far, which I agree with Chris with. What I don't agree with is that the games lose their sense with the just because of the customization. I don't believe so, because when you get down to it, the mechanics are still there that makes that game what it originally was.
See, that's where I ran into the problem, specifically with Gran Turismo. And now, granted, I've never actually raced cars before, but just from driving a car and what I imagine it is like to drive at a certain speed, I feel like games like Gran Turismo have lost. I drive a car in Gran Turismo and everything seems really floaty. I'm driving fast and I turn left and it's like I coast around a corner as opposed to feeling like, you know, the grip of the tires when you turn.
Right.
And I feel like those games have put so much focus on the customization and how quote unquote real everything looks that the gameplay is just a complete secondary thought. It's an afterthought.
Right.
And whereas I used to play games like RC Pro-Am or a better example, say something like Rad Racer or even the Top Gear games for Super NES. Like, absolutely love the Top Gear series for Super NES. I played so much of those games, and there was a decent amount of customization involved in those, but the meat of the game was racing. There wasn't a 6-hour tutorial earning your license just to get to race. It was you turn on the game, you customize a car, you race. And that thrill of racing, the thrill of beating the other not characters per se, just the other cars that you're racing against, that kind of visceral thrill, I feel, is missing from a lot of modern racing games. Now, you had the visceral thrills of playing a game like Burnout, because it really nailed that sense of speed. But I feel like the most thrilling parts of that were the explosions, the accidents, and kind of rewarding you for driving like a lunatic, where you know, you play something like F-Zero, or even something more kind of goofy like Uniracers for Super Nintendo, which was a side-scrolling racer. That basic combination of speed and having to beat that other person is, to me, what racing games have always been about and what always used to excite me about racing games. And which is why I do agree with you to an extent that Mario Kart can't really be part of this, because that's barely what Mario Kart is about, you know?
Well,
Mario Kart is about hoping you don't get hit by the blue shell when you're in a lead, you know?
Kong
Mario
Racing.
Kart is very...
Boom, that was the best racing game all time.
Which one?
Diddy Kong
Oh,
Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing. Yeah, Diddy Kong Racing was very cool.
Well, I feel like these games need to be split up into two sections, and I'll give you this. I don't personally like Gran Turismo. I like Forza a lot, and I never have really enjoyed Gran Turismo as much. So I will say that, yeah, Gran Turismo has always been sort of floaty to me, and I don't feel that it's always nailed down what Forza did in the second game. And to be honest, if you ever have the time, I think I still have my copy. I will lend you Forza 2, and if you just want to pop it in and try it out, it's actually a lot of fun. And, well, I wouldn't say fun because, you know, some people don't enjoy simulation games, but I feel it's closer to what racing a real car would be like, because, you know, you do get a feel for the grip, and it throws the vibration into it. It doesn't go off randomly. Like, it'll start going gently, like if you're starting to just skid, or it'll start going hardcore into a huge vibration if you're in like a full-on drift or something, and it feels like there's a huge amount of tension on the controller, almost just the way it's vibrating, because it uses both the motors in the controller to kind of give you a sense of weight in the car as well, which I feel is interesting. Again, it might not be perfect, but I mean, there's only so much you could do when you have a controller trying to simulate a steering wheel. But back to what I was originally saying was that I feel there needs to be two separate genres for what we're talking about. There can be the arcade racers, which are like Mario Kart, throwing Burnout, Blur, Split Second. Even the Ridge Racer stuff is arcade.
Ridge Racer!
Actually, I have a story about that. Did you guys ever hear about the new one that came out called Unbounded?
That was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that?
Maybe. The thing was, I picked it up on a whim because it was $4, and it's easily the best Ridge Racer game I've played in years. It goes off of sort of what the Burnout function is, where stuff blows up and everything, but not to a Burnout extent. And you get your turbo and stuff off of doing the drifts perfectly. So if you land a really good drift and you come out of the straightaway, you can sort of burn your nitrous or turbo or whatever and get a huge boost out of it and everything, which is really, really cool. And I mean, essentially, Ridge Racer is the initial D of racing games. That's all it is about is drifting. They really nailed it on the spot for as far as that goes. But I feel all those games are more arcade racers compared to the simulation. I don't feel that you can compare these apples to oranges because it just doesn't make sense. You can't try and combine or compare something that's finely tuned and has had an engine that's been going on for years and years and years, trying to amount to what a car would actually feel like, to something like Mario Kart, because it just doesn't work out. But I mean, even something more like Split Second, the physics in Split Second don't make sense when you compare it to something like Forza, because you can't crash through a solid brick wall and your car only has the fender hanging off. If you crashed into a solid even fence in Forza, your car would be totaled and you would be in the pit forever.
Wait, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, because I don't like racing games. You know this very much. I don't like things where I'm timed. I remember back in the day on Nintendo 64, was it NASCAR? Where you had to Daytona. You had to actually go, like, I got into a fight with Kim all the time because I would have to make a pit stop and she would keep going, obviously. So she would win the race. And do they still do that where you have to, like, stop in pit stops and...
No, not in Forza. You don't have to do that. If you play, there are NASCAR games out there, and yes, you do have to pit. But those NASCAR games are like sports games. They're meant to simulate the actual sport. So something like NASCAR...
Made me lose a lot. I got angry a lot.
I don't play NASCAR. NASCAR.
Nobody
games
likes
are
it when
actually
J-Pain gets angry.
shitty.
J-Pain hates racing. I hate being the clock. I hate being people. I don't like racing against people.
I'm sorry.
Except in Diddy Kong Racing. That was a great game.
It was a great
Can
game.
I just say that clearly the best racing game of all time was the Star Wars pod racing arcade game?
Okay, the arcade game, I can give you that. Because if you were going to mention the N64 one, I would feel that was a steaming pile of shit.
No, the actual, like, sit on the pod racing game. That thing was amazing.
Only could have been better if it was a real pod racer.
What about the ones where
I
you ride
agree.
like a snowmobile? Those are fun.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, those are cool.
I mean, arcade games are just cool in general, but I feel like they don't hit the same spot that the simulation games do, which is why I feel you need two different categories. And I mean, I think it's two different people that play these games. The same people that play Mario Kart aren't necessarily the same people that are playing Forza or Gran Turismo.
Broom, broom.
Well, and I think it is a valid point, because if you look back to like the games Chris was mentioning, like the Atari games, and even looking at the NES stuff like RC Pro Am and Al Unser's Super Turbo Off Road or whatever the hell that was, and Excite Bike and that sort of thing, the hardware limitations made it so that the game is just fun. Right, and they tried certain different things. RC Pro Am had the little power-ups that you would pick up, and games like Road Rash, on your motorcycle, you could kick people off and whatever as you're racing against them. But as the technology evolved, you eventually hit a point where we can break these games off and they can be these niche kind of things, of where we can have this hardcore simulation, or we can have this super arcadey, Burnout type thing, Or once the Fast and the Furious came out and everybody wanted to put rims and a spoiler on whatever piece of shit they were driving, you know, you had things like Need for Speed Underground that came out. And the one that I played the most was Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero, which was a PS2 game
that was a pretty interesting game. I remember that one.
That game was fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got it for like $5 in a used bin and just picked it up because I was like, fuck it, I want to play a racing game and this looks kind of fun. And that one actually struck a really nice balance between I can adjust the tension on the shocks in my car and I can put a body kit on here, but I'm also just racing people on Tokyo highways and they're accurately modeled and I can just race if I want to.
Yeah, totally. I get what you mean.
So I was just going to say, like, I would beg to differ with Mike that racing games have gotten less fun. I think they have gotten more specialized in their focus.
Right.
They're more divergent. You have simulators and then you have games.
Yeah, and I mean, even look at something like Need for Speed Most Wanted. That game is entirely radically different than Mario Kart or Forza because you can take the. Did any of you guys play that game?
I played it a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it just. This game, I think the original idea was out on the PS1 or PS2. It wasn't called Most Wanted. It was called something else, right?
Hot Pursuit.
Hot Pursuit, yeah, thank you. And it evolved into this game where, you know, you could either be the cops or the racers, and you had to either get away from the cops or be the cop chasing down the racer. And it made for a really cool cat and mouse aspect that turned into an entire game, and it was fantastic. And like that can't really be put into just Mario Kart or the arcade games that we're talking about right now, or the simulators, because where does that fit in? The physics were, I guess, sort of close to realistic, but the idea of the game was more arcadey. You know, you're not gonna go flying down I-95. In a Dodge Charger, and there's not going to be 7 police interceptor Corvettes after you.
And goddamn it, that's what's wrong with the world.
Of course, we need more Corvette police interceptors. That would just be terrible. Cops do not need those.
Well, and I'm definitely in the same boat with Chris. Like, Gran Turismo, you know, if you had a PlayStation originally, that was like the game. You had to have Gran Turismo. So I bought Gran Turismo and I put it in, and I had to take a test to like get my life. Fuck you. I played that game for 10 minutes and that was it. Like, it completely lost me. I had no desire to play a game that had this walled garden of content that I couldn't get to. I just wanted to race.
Right.
Like I just wanted Rad Racer.
I get you. And to be honest, the first Gran Turismo I bought, that my parents got me because I think like 13 when it came out, was Gran Turismo 3, A-Spec or whatever the hell it was called.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fucking remember. But yeah, it was stupid that you had to do all these races, and I'll again agree with Chris and Dan here that the controls were very floaty. It didn't feel like a car race or like a simulation, even though I didn't know what the fuck driving was back then, so how the fuck would I know? But the cool thing was you did get all these cars that you probably wouldn't get in real life, whether they were race cars or driving a Mazda Miata MX-5. You know, it was fun, and that's what made it cool, that the selection was there. And back in Gran Turismo, there wasn't a huge amount of customization, I think, up until I would say maybe up until the 5th one, there wasn't even a huge amount of customization. It was, you got like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 engines, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exhaust, and so on. Maybe some of the exterior stuff could kind of change. Maybe you could change the paint job, but that was really about it. The game stayed largely the same, besides, you know, very few changes to the engine and stuff, or a game engine, not actual car engine. And you know, that's what I feel made simulation games what they were for a while, was that you didn't have all these crazy customization things. And I feel what ruined that were the street racing games, which I'm not going to knock anyone who likes them because they have their place. But Yeah, the minute I turned on Need for Speed Underground at my friend's house and Little John the East Side Boys came on, just get low, I was like, I turning this back off.
Turned down for what?
Yeah, I'll turn that shit straight down. Two thumbs down, all the way down, straight to hell. But yeah, like I said, that's just my personal opinion. Again, they have their place. They're sort of like arcade racers. They don't have real physics. But the idea of customizing one's car, shitty Dodge Neon for that matter, is probably appealing to someone. Just not me.
I don't know. I had a shitty Dodge Neon and it wasn't appealing to me.
Did you have an SRT4?
No.
Well, that's
I'm
your
not
problem.
That cool. Not that cool.
But
like the Gran Turismo thing to me is very similar, and Forza as well. To me they strike the same chord that like Flight Simulator strikes. And I'm just completely uninterested in that genre. Burnout is fucking great. Burnout is so much fun. Burnout Paradise especially was just a killer game. But I mean, looking at the old school games too, I miss the simplicity of pole position and F1 Grand Prix and Rad Racer. You know, like there was just something, an Outrun. Fucking Outrun was amazing. And there was just this simplicity to, I'm in a car, I'm driving fast, and if I go off the road, my car blows up or it does a bunch of flippy doos, and then I'm back on the track, and that's it. Like I don't need to worry about taking my car back to the shop and fixing all the shit or being in the pit for hours, or there's just a level of simplicity and just kind of joy there that it's almost. Again, I think you're right. It's almost like it's a different genre.
Yeah, so while Mike might not like what racing games have become, maybe this very, split, segmented sort of category, I could say that there's definitely a place for all of them, and it gives people more of a choice rather than being stuck with just the, games of yesteryears, like the ones that you guys mentioned. We have a wider array of things. And while, unfortunately, these old ones have never found new reincarnations, there is a lot of stuff out there that I think appeals to a lot of people. And I to be honest, I like racing games a lot, and I do play a good amount of them. And, I've, to be honest, just to list off a few of the more recent ones, I played Burnout Paradise, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Forza 2, 3, 4, Forza Horizon, Gran Turismo 3, 4, 5, including the 5 demo, which was fucking bullshit. I had to pay $40 for that.
And you did?
Yeah, I was working at GameStop, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
For a racing game.
I love racing games.
But every game has some type of recently there's so many games like racing aspects, whether it be a car or not. Like, it's becoming so frustrating. It's like, freaking hate racing. But even from Super Mario 64, you're racing at some point, and Tony Hawk Underground, you're racing at one point. You're always racing. I hate racing. So.
Well, I mean, in Mario,
I really.
You're always racing. I hate racing.
Like Kingdom Hearts, you race Riku, whatever, in the beginning, and it's just why? There's so much.
Well, that goes into racing into a broader aspect, because I mean, in Mario 64. When you got to go against the penguin, and that music is fantastic the first time you ever hear that.
Oh, when you couldn't do it, and you got really mad.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
And I did it.
Yeah,
Remember
whatever, bro. Whatever.
I beat racing that day. Right?
You did beat racing that day.
I did.
And you did race the Dairy Queen before and get us back here.
I did. Got us back at 10:29.
You did 1 minute before we were supposed to be here.
I guess I like racing in real life.
I think that brings us back to Mario Kart, because Mario Kart has always been one of my favorite games, because as a girl in the early 90s, Mario Kart was one of the few games that you could be better at the boys at, and the boys would still talk to you because they could laugh it off as, oh, it's just a silly cartoon game, and isn't this fun and cute and whatever, the girl plays video games. You kick their ass in GoldenEye and they don't call you the next weekend. You kick their ass in Mario Kart and it's all still fun and games.
Yeah, and actually, on a similar respect, Mario Kart is a large part of what helped get my wife into gaming. She's doing a lot more gaming lately, and Mario Kart is a game that we can definitively play together all the time. In fact, we play Mario Kart 8 for Wii U all the time, and it's fantastic. It's a video game that I can legitimately play with my wife just about any time, which is pretty great. So and Mario Kart really invented that whole subgenre of kart racers with weapons and things like that, like Crash Team Racing and Diddy Kong Racing and Konami's Crazy Racers and all that other jazz. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said about those Mario Kart style games and the fact that those are just super fun and also part of the racing games being this broad spectrum of games like Dean's talking about. But to kind of rein things in a little bit because we're going a little bit long, and also to kind of keep things a little bit retro, why don't we do a quick run around to polish off the show of what our favorite old school racing games are. We'll start with Dean.
Oh man, put me on the spot right away. I would have to say my favorite racing game is actually one that you just mentioned, which is Crash Team Racing. I love the fact that it was sort of story driven and had a bit of an open world feel and like a bit of a collectathon type thing going on where you could beat the race more than once, get new things, do a time trial, get another collectible, go on to the next race. There were boss races and stuff. It was such a cool game, and I feel like it went a little bit more in depth than the normal Mario Kart game did. And you could also do multiplayer in this game, which is what Mario Kart was best at. And maybe Crash Team Racing wasn't as good at that, but I think it did single player racing to a whole new level, which, to be honest, I don't think we've seen since.
Nice. Jess, what is your favorite retro racing game?
Not exactly retro, but still Diddy Kong Racing. I just loved that it was a story too, kind of. There was a storyline, and I don't know, it didn't irk me as much as all of the racing games do.
Nice. Dan, what about you? What are some of your favorite retro racing games?
Definitely the ones I mentioned, like Rad Racer, and especially because Rad Racer had a fucking 3D effect that was so shitty.
Oh God,
it was the worst. But I don't know, it was just kind of cool because it went from like day to night and shit, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun. Probably the racing game that I spent the most time with is probably F-Zero. F-Zero is just, it's a blast. Like it is just a straight up racing game, but I don't know, it was just really cool and really different.
Tiff, what about you?
I would probably say Mario Kart 64 was the first racing game that I was ever successful at, and also the last racing game that I was ever successful at. So I'm going to stick with that.
I feel you.
Awesome. For me, I used to really love racing games, and it wasn't until I started prepping for this show that I realized how many racing games are really, really stuff I spent a lot of time with, like Rad Racer, RC Pro-Am 1 and 2 are super high on my list. Super Off-Road for either NES or the arcade. Goddamn love Super Off-Road. I'll always play Grand Prix for Atari 2600. Anytime I hook up an Atari up, Grand Prix is going in there at least once. It's real simple, but it's just such a cool looking game. Uniracers, I mentioned earlier, I think that's probably the racing game that I've spent the most amount of time with. It was a Super Nintendo game that was created by the crew that eventually became Rockstar Games. And there's a fun lawsuit behind it where somehow Disney won this lawsuit where they own anthropomorphic unicycles. Nobody else could do it. It was like a Pixar thing. Pixar had an animated short with an anthropomorphic unicycle, and they were like, "Nope, you can't use that." And there's the guys that made Uniracers were like, "What the hell are you talking about? It's a unicycle. You don't own unicycles, but it's your fucking Disney money." And somehow they won, and they couldn't sell Uniracers anymore, which is why we'll never see a port of that for anything. But it's a 2D stunt-based racing game where you are a living unicycle and you just exist to race in these almost Sonic the Hedgehog style level designs where you just go through loop-de-loops and corkscrews and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the more stunts you do, the faster you go, and you're just constantly trying to find ways to fit more crazy stunts into your races so that you can beat these other racers. And it was intensely competitive. It had a great 2-player split screen mode, insanely fast, and really, really, really good music. Just extraordinary approximations of real music, like electric guitars and drums and bass. And for a Super NES game, especially considering the time, the sound quality was really, really high. And the only other thing I want to mention is the arcade version of the original Hang On. Some of my earliest video gaming memories are from staying at Starlight Campground with my parents and my cousins, and there was an arcade nearby where I used to play Rampage, Punch Out, and Hang On that had these. It was a stand-up cabinet. It wasn't one of the ones that had the full motorcycle on it, but it had the handlebars on the front of it. And God, that I used to play the shit out of that game. Those are good times. But okay, that's going to be it for our show. Racing games. Let us know what you think. Write us some emails. Send us some tweets, some Facebooks, some other magical social media modern day things. Kids these days, they're loud music, hula hoops, and fax machines.
And tumblers,
Yeah,
and
tumblers, whatever. They're tumbling all over the face spaces and the my books, and I don't know anymore.
Oh, don't say chicken as your favorite racing game, because that's not fun for anyone. I don't think that's safe as a racing game.
Oh yeah, if someone writes in as chicken, yeah, no, we're gonna have to call the police on you. Don't go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that's no good. But yeah, Dean, where can they email us?
They can email us at jeez, I almost forgot for a second. Geek Life Site. That's G33KLIFESITE at gmail.com.
Was that G33KLIFE?
SITE. You forgot that part. At gmail.com. Thanks for the follow up there.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, do we have anything super exciting to plug? Any great new things coming up?
Got some
Fuck yeah, Constant Squirrel.
Yeah, obviously. Forgot about Constant Squirrel going on. Yeah, you can find that on our Kickstarter, obviously, at www.whatthefuckarewedoing.com. Besides
You gotta
that,
come up with some really excellent stretch goals.
yeah, we will. You know what? I'm not even gonna go into that right now. We're running long anyway. Chris, you got a new Lost in Time coming up, don't you?
Yeah, actually, it's not. Well, I do have a new Lost in Time coming up eventually, but I started working on a new think tank article about just this last week, just to put the basic premise of it. I kind of sort of became a one console house again, and I'm writing about why I'm okay with having retired everything but one system.
Well, very cool. That's a very, very cool article. I'm looking forward to reading it. Besides that, we have the YouTube stuff going on. We've been playing Deadlight and Hammerwatch. We're like 3 or 4 episodes in on each one. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to keep going with that till I beat them, and then we'll move on to other games. We're going to have some multiplayer games coming down the line very, very soon. I have a whole mess of games that we're going to be playing. I think Jesse and I are going to be doing some co-op stuff pretty soon with...
Not scary ones.
No, not scary ones. I promise.
No scary ones.
No scary ones. I promise. Only Five Nights at Freddy's. What?
No,
Well, we won't talk about that right now. But yeah, there's some stuff coming down the line. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're working on a new camera scheme too, so our pictures will come through a little brighter. We're still sort of feeling everything out, but we've gotten pretty close to where I think like everything's supposed to be. If you guys have seen, you can click on the previous episode video, and it'll link you to the other YouTube video that we just did and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. We post all this stuff up on Facebook and Twitter, so you can go and find us on Facebook and Twitter at Geek Life, G33KLIFE, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook, and that's where you can check everything all the time, because those get updated automatically when we upload stuff. Also, that's the easiest place to get information when new podcasts are out. Speaking of which, we added a nice download button to all our new episodes of our podcast right on our website now. So if you're too lazy to open up iTunes, you can do it right through our website. We made it even easier for you. So all you have to do is subscribe, and that'll make us feel really, really good about ourselves.
And speaking of iTunes, make sure that you review us on iTunes. Write us a nice, happy, positive review on iTunes. It would make us all very happy, and it also helps other people find the podcast. And the more people find the podcast, the more cool stuff we can do.
I agree. Yeah, writing reviews are awesome, and that would help us immensely. So yes, please do that.
All right. Well, if nobody else has anything to add, we're going to call it a night. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much to our special guests, Jess and Tiff. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, okay,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
for having us.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sucks.
Well done. Way to bring that in there. All right, everybody.
Fuck that game.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Hi, everybody.
Serious voice.
Oh, God
Sorry.
damn it,
God
Dan.
damn it, Dan.
Sorry. My bad.
You
Gotta
done?
get the countdown, Chris.
3, 2, 1, and.
Get some fucking Sensodyne, Dean. Like a grown-up.
Jess is a fucking American, Dean, all right?
What?
You non-blizzard eating commie fuck.
Jesus, that got a little real.
I'll have you know, I am the epitome of American. I own an El Camino. You're fucking screaming America if you own one of those cars, okay?
That is American.
It's-
you
it's-
own something made in a different country with a Spanish name.